Hey everyone, welcome to The Moment. In this video, we're going to be sharing about the power of surrender and embracing the unknown, and how important and valuable this is, especially in our modern age, but also on the spiritual journey and on the path. This is quite a question that comes up of like, what should I do as far as, should I be motivated to do things? Should I surrender my activities and stuff like that? It's something that comes up a lot in these kinds of conversations. And so that's what today's talk is going to be about. So hit the subscribe button. There's lots of videos coming through just like this one on all different subjects, but all things spiritual, all things yoga, philosophy, meditation, all that kind of stuff. So, embracing the unknown is probably one of the pinnacle aspects of being human. Humans have this amazing quality and capacity to wonder, to live in a way that is much broader, and we have the capacity for mysticism naturally. And there's like two kind of ends of that. One leads us to, wonderment and exploring what we don't know. And another leads us to sort of kind of like trying to plan and control things depending on what's running our motivations and intentions. So what's valuable and powerful about it is, and what I'm talking about is embracing a day-to-day and embracing an inspiration that naturally comes to us, and embracing a power that moves our life, that's natural to us, that's inspiring to us, and that is wise in how we should live our lives, or how we can live our lives. And what we come to is, we have our thinking mind that is always trying to figure things out. It always wants to know things. And what I've learned is that the mind does this because it's sort of in kind of like secretly knows it can never know anything. So it's always trying to. It's always trying to come up with ideas and concepts and principles and stuff like that to say, oh, I've got it. See, I did it. I figured it out. But it really, it itself, the mind knows intrinsically on like a subtle level. There's like an unconscious knowing, and then there's a conscious knowing. It's got this kind of unconscious knowing that there's no possible way for it to ever actually know anything. It can only weigh options and play with ideas. It can never actually know anything for certain, the thinking mind. And this is really valuable information, because when it comes to thoughts, we can have this relationship with thoughts that's sort of at a distance to say, okay, nice idea, nice concept, but the only way I can know the truth is through my intuition and my silent center that's inside, and it's through like a more subtle vibratory experience of a truth. Sometimes we just know something is real and true, and it's not because of some narrative that's going on in our head. This is super important. This is the difference. This is what I'm talking about today greatly, is these kind of two options of how we live our lives. We live one of like planning and reasoning and theorizing and conceptualizing and being inspired by even like what other people are doing and stuff like that. We kind of build these ideas of like how we should live our lives and what we should live by, what we should be moving towards. And it's sort of this imagination about life based on kind of flimsy things. And it may or may not be aligned with our kind of natural born trajectory that life itself wants us to live, or why we were created, if we want to put a why on our existence. There's a a unique way that we are naturally, each one of us. And we have unique interests. We have unique, things that are beautiful to us. We have unique things that we love being a part of, that we have unique things that we have tremendous joy in being a part of, each one of us. And that in itself is what should guide our life path. It should guide our motivations, our intentions, how we show up every day, what we show up to every day. This guidance. I'll get more into that in a minute. But on the other end of that, we have the thinking mind that's been conditioned by society, by our parents and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times that's what's driving most of our lives, until we hit a point where we're not happy, we're not satisfied, we're not fulfilled, and we start seeking deeper things about life, and we come to things like spirituality and yoga and religion, or whatever it ends up finding you to call you home. So it inevitably proves itself to us that it's not the best way to live, or it's not the right way to live, or it's not a fulfilling way to live, it's not a joyful way to live, living by thought, which is trying to create something that is known. So we have like a goal, an end goal, and we're like doing things to get to that goal. And that's okay, but not to totally discard anything like that, but to embrace a level and a degree of moving into the unknown spaces, or moving into an unknown field, or, kind of resting in a space where we joyfully show up to our moments. We nurture the things that bring us joy, and in a space where we feel whole. For example, you'll hear artists and musicians talk about how artists and musicians, I have to be an artist. I can't not be an artist. If I'm not creating art, I'm not really alive. And that's important to acknowledge. Everybody has something like that, and for some for some people it's just parenting. Some people it can be very mundane things. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but there are things that you show up to that you feel whole when you show up, and you feel a sense of joy, and you feel a sense of completeness, that you're in the right place. And that's ultimately what yoga teaches, is to exist from a place of wholeness every day in everything you're doing, and then your life really unfolds from that essence, which again is beyond any of the mind stuff. It's beyond the best mind stuff, the best thoughts, the best concepts. I've experienced this myself, where my mind comes up with amazing, wonderful, creative ideas, but it's never as profound as living from this space beyond thought, that is like a space of unknowing. It's a space of intuition, moment to moment, and then that unraveling from living from that place is a joyful and fulfilling life. It's wonderful. It's mysterious, and then you find yourself in moments where you have like a reflection where you're like, wow, look at what's happening with my life. It's incredible, and I'm not like really putting that much effort into trying to make it happen. There's this magical unfolding, and again, especially in our world, it's a bit of a balance, where there's some value in a vision of where you're heading, and there's some value in instilling sort of ideals inside to live by, that are high ideals, aspirations for spiritual endeavors. The higher we go with our intention, the closer we get to living freely. The intentions and the goals can support us while we have conditions and stuff inside, while we have relationships with certain aspects of reality, with people, with our current society. We might have relationships, we might hate society, we might have resentments and stuff. So having a high goal and a high ideal of spiritual awakening or enlightenment, or living more in love, instilling something of a good nature inside to kind of be a goal or a path, or we have some end goal of, living a fulfilled community life with spiritual community or something like that. This is okay. This is good to have these things, not to hold to them so tightly that we're stressing about accomplishing them or making them happen, or we're so it's to have these things that they sort of help purify the lingering little substances that we hold inside that are against our natural life path and how it's kind of made and meant to unfold. So that's kind of where we find a balance of these things, of like using a little bit of imagination and thought and visualization and stuff like that to keep ourselves focused, because we can get really, really distracted, and we can kind of feel like we're walking around in circles if we don't have some kind of vision, or we don't have some kind of discipline or something, or some kind of installation that reminds us of what we're really doing, what we're really going for. And to discover these ideals and these goals and stuff like that, the best way to do that is actually to sit in silence with yourself and with the intention, to sort of sit and meditate with an intention of kind of studying my own nature, my own essence as an eternal being that is sort of without quality, that is just divine and profound and unfathomable, glory, one with all in existence and God and all of that, remaining anchored in that, but then also acknowledging and embracing the individual aspects of the human incarnation, and sitting with the intention of show me vision so I have clarity on my life path of how I should show up daily, or what I should be endeavoring towards and stuff like that. And it's not even something that needs to be so vividly revealed. Again, it could be some kind of inner sense as you carry on with your daily life. You might get some grand vision, but don't even put too much presence into whatever visions come, because the mind can create visions from all different places. So it's good to remember that no matter what arises in thought isn't as valuable as sort of this silent, intuitive knowing of what you're doing and where you are. And that can take cultivation. Also, it's something that's our most natural thing, but we block it, we cover it, and we put stuff on top of it like ambitions and stuff like that. So I hope it's clear, this sort of balance that we have. But ultimately, if I'm kind of to summarize what I'm trying to share, is don't hold too strong to anything that arises in your mind. No matter how profound the vision is, no matter how profound the thought or the concept is, never hold too tightly to thought. And whatever it may be, again, no matter how dark it is, no matter how horrible it is, don't hold too tightly to it. It's thoughts and vibrations and energies are passing through the universe constantly. Let them come and let them go. The relationship with thought, all of it, is best at allowing thoughts to just kind of wave and move through you, and come in and pass on. And because a lot of times what we do is we have thoughts, we're like, this is my thought, this is a horrible thought, how could I ever have this? Let's smash it, or a profound thought comes in, you're like, oh my God, look at this amazing thought I had, I'm gonna do something with it, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this thought showed me what I need to do with my life, and then you go acting on it, and then you'll soon realize that's not the thing, So this is an important thing, and I hope I'm clear on it. And you'll find too that the most beautiful thoughts come directly from the space when you're sort of empty, when you're inside. And it's beautiful because it's kind of an indication that your thoughts are being purified, or the energies inside of you are being purified. The samskaras, the imprints of memory on you, are being purified in a way, when the bubbling up and the risings of thoughts are really beautiful and profound, but at the same time, even still, hold on to the silence and the emptiness and that openness and that expansiveness, that sort of unknowing space, rather than what arises from that space. I hope that makes sense. And that's really a really important detail, because it's a big pitfall here, where cultivating an ability to exist sort of empty, without concept, without thought, beyond thought, presently, actively engaging in the world, not even just like in a meditative environment, but actively being a part of the world, existing in the space of just pure presence, sort of empty and free of condition. You'll feel the beauty of life in every instant, in every moment. And then you'll also feel that something's moving you, something's guiding your actions, something's moving you around to be in the right places, the perfect places, to meet the right people, to engage in the right activities. And what I mean by right is the ones that are really fulfilling for you and that share a blessing with the entire world that you come in contact with. That's what this means, living from this space. And again, and one of the pitfalls is you might arise thoughts, again, that might be really beautiful and profound and motivating and all that kind of thing. And it might say, oh, you need to do something with these thoughts. That's a pitfall there. Well, just let it go. Have an easeful relationship, a relaxed relationship, where you just allow all of it to come and go. You don't have to hold on to any of them. No matter what their content is. This is a big message and a huge part of walking the spiritual path, and especially when it comes to living and doing and being in the world what God made you to be, what you were designed for, why life gave birth to you exactly as you are. Finding that space to live by is the most fulfilling life that you'll find. And you'll live passionately, you'll live openly, you'll live free from sorrow in that way too, because you'll just be in the flow of everything that's happening, and however it unfolds and however it happens, you'll start to see the perfection in it, no matter what the outcomes are, because it's not about being successful all the time. And that's another one of the pitfalls that we come to. We want to be successful all the time. We want to be honored and loved all the time. But when you live from the way that I'm sharing, you find that even in dishonor, even in failure, you find the beauty and the divinity and the wisdom in every instant in existence, because you're tuned into what is real and what is true, as opposed to what the mind wants. The mind wants everything to be pretty, comfortable, and pleasurable all the time. And that's not life. We know that it's not life. To strive for that is ridiculous. And the closest way to getting to that, the only way to get anywhere near that, is what I'm sharing about living by this sort of empty present space. That's your true nature. That's your true essence, is this. And empty doesn't mean dead. It means free. It means boundless. It means boundless life. It's really quite profound. And maybe join me in a moment and breathe from that space. I know this is probably something that's rare amongst the platforms of sharing content and stuff like that. But I think maybe it's time to evolve in not busying ourselves all the time, not busying our attention to have to be locked onto something that's exciting. I remember I was learning, people were showing me, or was learning how to, engage on the internet and everything. And yeah, you gotta make lots of gestures, move your head around, and I gotta put on this whole show for everybody out there. And I hope that what I'm sharing is going to permeate through that maybe childlike, adolescent-like aspect of it. We need to have something super entertaining and waving in front of us for us to be focused on it. And to focus on the silent center inside is the most profound place we can put our attention onto, because it's the part that's one with everything in existence. It's the part that's eternal, that's lived, that lives in everything, that experiences everything, that knows, that is all-knowing. So this embracing the unknown is sort of this paradox of embracing the unknown aspect, this subtle, formless, qualityless aspect of yourself that permeates through existence, that exists as everything else that we see and experience, and everything else that we don't see and don't know. That's the space of all knowingness, because it's the source of life itself. And so maybe let's do something ridiculous and radical. And right now, together on a YouTube channel or on a video platform on social media, whatever it is, let's spend some time in silence together. Let's do something crazy. Can we do it? Or I'm going to call it out. Or are we like little kids who just need flashing lights and beeping sounds in front of our faces to be focused on anything? Can we focus on emptiness? Can we focus on the truth? I can say that the only truth is in silence. The only truth is experienced in silence. It's never in thought. Thought may come close. Thought may reflect truth for a moment, for an instant, and then it's going to snowball into something further and further away from that truth. So the only space, the only place of real knowing, of real knowledge, of real truth is in silent, empty, free presence. So let's try it. Let's do it for 2 minutes. What's good to remember is that that space is your soul. That is the soul's essence that you experience in that space. Yourself. That's your real, true self and nature that you experience in those spaces. Whatever shows up in those spaces, like your thoughts, might be disturbing. But when you're able to exist beyond whatever may arise, sometimes we need moments of thoughtlessness to experience the soul's essence, our true nature. But you can, while there's thoughts, no matter what types of thoughts are going, you can remain anchored in that space. And that space you'll find, you don't have to listen to me or anybody else. That space you find as you sit there and are united with that space, undistracted from whatever shows up in front of you, you realize the essence of that space is joyful, innately, intrinsically. That joy is not separate from your nature, as it is purely, when we don't put stuff on top of it. So sitting in meditation gets easier and easier because all you're doing is sitting in your blissful nature. And there's a part of you it's conditioned, the mind is conditioned that our joy and our happiness is outside of ourselves, and we have to get joy from the world. This is one of the biggest mistakes that we make that causes so much suffering. This is what everybody's doing. Everybody is putting their joy, their happiness, their fulfillment, their pleasures, their purpose outside of themselves, and that they have to go and get it. They have to go attain it. There's this getting aspect. That's the kind of like primal foundation of the ego, is to get for itself, for personal gain from the world. I need to go and collect things from the world and bring them into myself and experience them, and that's where joy is. That's where the fulfillment of life is in that. That's the ego. But as you do this, just sitting in emptiness, disregard all the thoughts that go. Whatever comes, whatever goes. Don't try to control your thoughts. Don't do anything. You don't have to engage at all. Just literally just sit empty and watch everything without getting involved at all. Reject everything, just nothing. Let it all come and go. Whatever it's doing, it doesn't matter. The more you do it, the more you sit with that, that joy actually grows. You'll notice it. Oh, it feels peaceful, or you feel peaceful after you've sat for a little while, or whatever it is. And then the more you sit, you realize and you start to recognize, you acknowledge, this is me. This joyful essence is always there, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter what my thoughts are doing. It's always there. It's one with my nature, with my essence. The joy, the fulfillment, the sense of purpose is already there in being there. And as we sit and stay there, the more and more you can say, I'm just enjoying myself. And that becomes the place that you actually seek to stay connected with more and more as you carry on with your life. And this is like the progression of spirituality, of living as a spirit, living as divinity, which is our destiny, because it's available for us, you know. And the process is, right now we're living probably mostly, at best in part, from ego, from this sense of separateness, from this sense of lack, of like, I have to go out in the world and I have to collect my joys. I have to collect and I have to do things to be recognized. I have to go out and do things and be successful, and then there's fulfillment, then my needs are met and all of that. But that's the one thing that we have to come to realize, that that's not the spiritual way to live. You know, it's not a way to live that's going to bring us what we're really seeking as spiritual seekers, living in that way. And that's the shift. More and more is living by the soul's essence, and recognizing that that's the joy, that's the fulfillment. And then also at the same time, watching how your life unfolds from living from that place. You sit, and there may be a time where you sit still for a while, but then your body naturally gets up and it moves around. You naturally get up and get involved with tasks. You naturally get up and you call somebody on the phone. You meet somebody somewhere and you say, hey, let's get together. And you find the whole universe seems to be congregating. It seems to be shifting and arranging itself for you by living from this place. And things start to shift and change. You know, especially, and then thought even comes into your life, and you actually have this way of engaging with thoughts that's totally different. With emotions, you have totally different relationship with everything that's harmonious with every aspect of existence. Isn't that what we all want? Isn't this something that we all want? We all want to have harmonious, pleasurable, joyful, fulfilling relationship with every aspect of our lives. This is what I'm kind of sharing. This is what I'm sharing of a way that we can do that. And this is my testimony. So many blessings, friends. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far in the video, I congratulate you. In a time of shorter and shorter attention spans, like where we go from one 30-second to the next 30-second. Maybe at best we have a couple minutes at a time where our attention is focused on one thing, so if you made it this far through the video, I really commend you, and good for you in a day where our attention is being sort of stolen from us, or attempted to be. So many blessings. Let's keep going on this journey. Let's keep doing this work. Let's keep spending more and more time in presence, more and more time in this space of, that's really the only truth and reality. This is our refuge from all the craziness of the world, is right inside of ourselves. It's our greatest protection. It's our greatest inspiration. It's, again, our greatest shelter and refuge from whatever may come into our lives. So many blessings. I hope you find your true nature in this lifetime permanently.